Hey guys, welcome to Juicy Tea, where I read out the best stories on Reddit, so you don't have to. The funny, shocking, and satisfyingly juicy. Today is Fake or Real Thursday, with the craziest stories that just can't be real. My mother did things with my boyfriend. Today's story comes from the BestofRedditorUpdates subreddit, posted by Anxious Writer 2742. My mother immigrated from her country at age 19. She was looking for a new life with my biological father. Well, it didn't take long for my father to use my mother's isolation to physically and mentally abuse her. I was born 2 years after she arrived in Chile. My mother and I ran away from my father when I was almost 3 years old, and after that, we had no contact with him. As I reached adolescence, our financial situation improved. My mother always went out with me to do girly things, and at the time I thought it was fun, but in reality, it was strange. My mother presented herself as an older friend and tried to blend in with my high school friends. When I went to college, my mum asked about parties, which started to bother me. It was strange how my mother wanted to be my friend at parties, but I always overlooked it, thinking that maybe it was just her wanting to live the youth that she didn't have. At the beginning of this year, I started a relationship with S. He's from my old city, I know his parents, and he knows my mother. We grew up basically in the same neighborhood, and college brought us closer. College had 3 days without classes, and as my city isn't that far away, S and I agreed to go home together to spend some time with our families. S has 3 brothers, 2 that still live at his parents' house, and recently, his grandmother also moved in with them. So S's family house was already full. He asked if we could stay at my mother's house, and she agreed. The first day was normal. S stayed with his parents and only came home at night. On the second day, I went to a friend's house. I'd really missed her, so I was excited to see her. I invited S, but he wasn't keen, so I went alone. You know when you're having a great day, and without any warning, something horrible happens? Well, I returned home earlier than expected. When I arrived, the place was empty. I looked for S and my mother, but I didn't find them. Then I called them both. S and my mother came home. They were laughing and happy. They told me they'd stopped by a restaurant and even bought food for me. This wasn't suspicious. That night, S was in the shower and his cell phone screen lit up with a message. S doesn't put a password on his cell phone and well, it was wrong, but I ended up looking quickly and saw my mother's name. We were in the same house, so I was curious about what that message was about. It was disgusting. She was saying sexual things and praising how good he was, asking if he could sneak out at night and some other things that you really don't want to read. I burst into tears right there. I was angry and very hurt. I ended up going after my mother, shouting at her and cursing her. S appeared scared, and I confronted them both. S confessed, crying, and my mother tried to deny it. Well, I left home and went to stay with my friend until I went back to college. S continued after me, saying that he was being manipulated. My mother says I shouldn't be mad at her, since she just showed me that my boyfriend is a cheater. I feel like it's kind of my fault. I missed so many red flags from her. I guess I just thought, she's my mum, so it's okay. I'm back in college now. S is still chasing after me, and my mother keeps trying to call me. What should I do here? Cut ties with her completely? Can I do something to make S leave me alone? Has anyone else here been through something similar and can tell me what to do so I don't feel so awful? Edit. I have a job that covers my housing and food costs. Also, I don't have additional college expenses, so I'm financially secure. Relevant comments. My mother says I shouldn't be mad at her, since she just showed me that my boyfriend is a cheater. And what did she show about herself? How many future boyfriends does she plan to expose as cheaters? As a mother myself, gross! This is not normal behaviour, and your mother needs help. But it isn't your job to support her with that. I have a family member who went through something similar, and my advice is based on that. Feel free to ignore it though if it doesn't work for you. I would send one last message stating, what you did is not normal behaviour and you need to see a psychiatrist, I will not even think about talking to you until you can prove that you've been through treatment and have made significant progress. After this, I block her from everything, including your thoughts. Secondly, you should never feel any pressure to reconnect. The only reason I'd state there's a chance based on therapy is to prevent future thoughts of guilt creeping in on you. You did your best to get her help, and now you can move on. Thirdly, I'd recommend finding some sort of therapy for yourself. Does your college offer anything like this? It can help you process this trauma. Fourthly, try Tetris. Research shows it can prevent some trauma-based issues. At the very least, it's a simple distraction. Sending you a ton of virtual hugs. This sucks badly. You're the stronger and better person in this story, so try to hold on to that. Update. I feel like I'm losing my whole life. I'm losing who I thought my mother was, and who I thought my boyfriend was. Starting with S, I did as suggested, and talked to the college coordinator. I know some people thought this was an obvious step, but when you're in a hurricane, your mind doesn't work well. The college warned S to stay away from me, or he'd be cited for harassment. Within the college, they can't do anything outside of it. Then S kept harassing me online, which made me delete all of my accounts. He also came to my apartment a few times. But my neighbor, an 80-kilo man with a very bad temper, threatened S, so he didn't come back here. He knows where I work, so he would show up sometimes. My coworkers helped me keep him away. I'll be talking to S's family. One of his brothers already knows about this, but I want to talk to his parents and ask for their help in keeping S away. I mentioned to some people that I'm dealing with the police. This is due to aggression from my mother. She came to my work to talk. I asked her to leave, so my mother hit me in the face, accusing me of humiliating her in public. I ended up with a bruised lip and a bruise on my cheek. My manager called the police and I opened a case against her. I'm going through the process to get a restraining order. I'm also waiting for my lease to end before I move out. You're right, my mother has been trying to live through me and competing with me like a stupid teenager. I discovered some of her actions, like stealing my clothes and going out alone with some of my friends from school, boys and girls. I don't know how far she went with them, but that wouldn't be a surprise. She's had abusive attitudes over the years, but I can only see it now. It's like I've been living in an imaginary world my whole life. It's strange to think that I don't even know who that woman is. I looked for my father and I was able to find a criminal record of his in Chile and another in Uruguay, all involving assault. He's absolutely a bad person. I don't want contact with him, and I'm not even gonna look for that man. I've been stuck in my apartment since the attack. My manager allowed me to work from home for a while, and I haven't gone back to college for about 3 days. I don't know if I'll be able to go back. I don't feel ready to deal with my personal problems and activities, academia, and my work. I'm looking for therapy, but unfortunately, I haven't found any that can fit into my budget. A small final comment. I saw some profiles on TikTok and Facebook responding to my post, and I noticed some comments from people who went through the same thing as me. I just want to say to these people that you're great and that you're not to blame for other people's lack of character. This situation is difficult and painful, but it cannot summarize your life. Please remain firm in your healing and seek help whenever necessary. Tell your story. Many people on the internet hugged and supported me. I know they'll also support you. Relevant comments. Oh honey, I'm so sorry. This is all a mess and none of it is your fault. Please try to continue your education. Take a little time if you need to, but don't let the actions of others ruin your future. Good luck. You're amazing and strong, and you can do this. Remember, I post new content every day, so subscribe for more juicy tea.